end your day. With God, night prayer for rest and miracles. How many times have you laid down at night with a restless heart, wishing only for peace and true rest? This question echoes inside you because it carries the weight of countless nights filled with thoughts, worries, and invisible burdens. As darkness settles outside your window and silence embraces the world, your soul still longs for calm. And in this very moment when the world grows quiet, you are invited to discover that God has always been your safe refuge, your unshakable fortress, the place where your heart can finally exhale. Close your eyes for a second and notice the stillness. The noise of the day has faded, and the battles that consumed your energy are now behind you. In this sacred pause, the voice of God is clearer than ever. His whisper is not lost in the chaos. It becomes alive in the silence. Tonight you are not here by accident. You were brought to this moment because your heart needs to remember a timeless truth. You are not alone. When you walked through the challenges of the day, He was with you. When your mind felt heavy, He carried the weight you couldn't bear. And now, as you prepare to rest, God is ready to cover you with peace so deep that it can heal wounds you no longer speak of. This is more than a prayer. It is a journey into the presence of the one who restores, comforts, and strengthens. Think of how the stars shine in the night sky. They don't fight to be seen. They simply reflect the light they were created to hold. In the same way, when you allow God's presence to enter your life, your soul reflects His light. It doesn't matter how dark the night feels, because His light is not limited by shadows. The peace He offers is not temporary. It doesn't depend on circumstances. It is eternal, steady, and powerful enough to calm the storm within you. This prayer is an invitation to lay down every burden you've carried today. Your disappointments, your fears, your unspoken cries, all of them can rest at the feet of the Lord tonight. Let this moment be sacred, a turning point where you stop striving on your own strength and finally rest in His. You don't need to have all the answers, because God already holds the future you're afraid of. So breathe slowly. Let each breath remind you that God is near. With every heartbeat, feel His presence filling the room where you are. You are wrapped in His protection, embraced by His love, and lifted by His promises. As you surrender your heart tonight, believe this. The God who created the heavens and the earth is watching over you, and His angels stand guard at your side. You are stepping into a night of miracles, not because of what you do, but because of who He is. This is where your rest begins. This is where your story of peace is written. Stay close, open your heart, and prepare to encounter the presence of God in a way that will carry you into tomorrow with renewed strength and unshakable faith. Your night has a purpose. Your rest has meaning. And in the silence, you will hear the voice of God reminding you that you are deeply loved, eternally chosen, and never abandoned. The marks of the day on the heart. Every day leaves its traces on us. Some are light and almost invisible, while others weigh heavily, pressing against the deepest parts of our being. Tonight, as you prepare to rest, your heart still carries the impressions of everything you lived, everything you felt, and everything you endured. Each conversation, each worry, each victory, and each disappointment has left a mark. Some of these marks are uplifting, like the warmth of a smile or the memory of a kind word. Others, however, cut deeply, leaving behind restlessness, regret, or exhaustion. When you close your eyes at night, the body longs for rest, but the soul still remembers. It replays scenes, magnifies fears, and sometimes even creates storms out of the smallest moments. This is why God invites you to place the marks of your day in His hands. He knows the weight of your heart. He knows the thoughts that keep circling in your mind. He knows how difficult it is to find rest when the inner scars are still fresh, and yet He also knows how to heal them. Think for a moment about what you carried today. Was it stress from responsibilities you couldn't fully meet? Was it the sting of harsh words spoken by someone close to you? Was it the loneliness that followed you quietly, even when others couldn't see it? Or maybe it was simply the exhaustion of trying to hold everything together. Each of these things leaves a mark. And tonight they are here with you, resting on your heart. But they do not define you. God has always specialized in rewriting stories. The weight you feel is not the end of your journey. It is the very place where His grace begins to work. The day may have left scars, but the night offers healing. And in the stillness as you pray, God's presence comes like a gentle hand pressing against your soul, reminding you that you are not shaped by your wounds, but by His love. Let yourself reflect. What do you most need to release right now? What memory of this day lingers painfully in your mind? What anxiety has followed you into this night? Allow yourself to bring it forward and name it before God. There is power in recognition. By admitting the weight, you open the door for Him to lift it. The truth is that you cannot erase the marks of the day on your own, but you can choose to surrender them. And when you do, something extraordinary happens. God transforms those marks into lessons, into strength, into testimony. What once hurt can become the very proof of His presence and faithfulness in your life. So as you breathe tonight, imagine laying every mark of the day at the feet of the cross. Picture each worry dissolving in the presence of His love. Let His voice cover over the noise of the day. Let His peace soften the sharpness of every memory. In Him, the heaviest marks lose their power. In Him, your heart learns to rest again. And as you step into this truth, know this: tomorrow will bring new challenges, yes, but also new mercies. The God who carried you today will carry you again tomorrow. Nothing you experience today is wasted when it is placed in His hands. Nothing you endured is stronger than His grace. Tonight, the marks of the day are not your prison. They are the canvas where God will paint His miracles. The invisible weight we carry. There are burdens that everyone can see, and burdens that remain hidden, invisible to the eyes of others, yet unbearably heavy for the one who carries them. Tonight, as you prepare to rest, you may feel the presence of those silent weights. They are not always spoken about, not always shared, but they shape your emotions, steal your peace, and drain your strength. Perhaps it is the pressure to appear strong when inside you are breaking. Perhaps it is the unspoken fear of tomorrow. Perhaps it is the quiet ache of unanswered prayers. These invisible weights do not vanish simply because the day has ended. They linger in the mind, circling endlessly like shadows in the night. They whisper doubts when you try to pray. They create a restlessness that prevents true sleep. And yet here is the truth. God sees what no one else sees. He knows the struggles you cannot put into words. He knows the tears that never fall but remain locked behind your eyes. He knows the tension in your chest when you smile outwardly, while holding pain inwardly. The weight you carry is not hidden from Him. The scriptures remind us that God searches the heart. Nothing is too secret, nothing is too buried for Him to heal. Where others only see your mask of strength, He sees your fragility. Where others assume you are fine, He notices the cracks. And in that place of raw honesty, He invites you to release the weight into His hands. Imagine for a moment what it would be like to set those invisible burdens down, to no longer rehearse the same worries, to no longer fight the same silent battles on your own, to no longer measure your worth by how much you can endure. God offers you more than survival. He offers rest for your soul. This rest is not temporary. It does not depend on everything being fixed by tomorrow morning. It is a supernatural peace that steadies your heart even when circumstances remain unresolved. Perhaps you have carried guilt that whispers of past mistakes. Perhaps you have carried anxiety about the future, fearing what is still unknown. Or perhaps you carry the heavy silence of loneliness, even when surrounded by people. Each of these invisible weights feels personal, but God reminds you that He bore them on the cross. He carried every shame, every fear, every sorrow, so that you would not have to carry them alone. Now, in this sacred moment, you are invited to surrender. Picture yourself handing those hidden weights to Him. Feel the release as you let go of the control you never truly had. Allow His strength to replace your weakness. Allow His promises to rewrite the lies that those burdens have been telling you. And as you do, something begins to shift. Your breathing slows. Your mind clears. The presence of God becomes tangible, and the invisible chains lose their hold. The night is no longer a place of torment, but a place of healing. You are no longer a prisoner of what you cannot share. You are free to rest, free to breathe, free to believe again. God is not asking you to prove your strength tonight. He is asking you to trust His. And in that trust, you will discover that the invisible weight is not greater than the invisible God who carries you. The night as a time of healing. When the sun sets and darkness stretches across the sky, the world slows down. Work is paused, streets grow quiet, and even nature embraces rest. Yet within you, there is more happening than the stillness outside suggests. The night is not only the end of another day, it is a sacred opportunity, a space designed by God for renewal, restoration, and healing. What your body craves as sleep, your spirit receives as restoration from the one who never sleeps. Think of how the body itself heals while you rest. Cuts close, muscles repair, energy is replenished. If the body knows how to restore itself in the night, how much more will the Spirit of God use this time to heal what lies deeper? The wounds of the soul, the fatigue of the heart, the exhaustion of the mind. God did not create the night as an interruption. He created it as a rhythm of grace, a reminder that every ending carries the promise of renewal. The healing of the night is not just physical but emotional and spiritual. The tears you held back throughout the day can finally fall into God's presence. The disappointments you buried can now be uncovered and surrendered. The fears that stole your peace can be quieted by His voice. It is in the dark that you most clearly see the light of His promises shining over your life. Remember that Jesus often withdrew at night to pray, to be alone with the Father. The night was not wasted. It was sacred. In the same way, your night can be holy ground. As you prepare to close your eyes, you are invited to lay on the altar of prayer every broken piece of your day. God meets you in that vulnerable place, and His Spirit begins the gentle work of mending. Healing may not always be instant, but each night surrendered to God becomes part of a greater process. Tonight may be the night where peace returns after long battles with anxiety. Tonight may be the night where forgiveness begins to flow into a wounded heart. Tonight may be the night where strength rises quietly within you, ready for tomorrow's challenges. Healing is not only about what is removed, it is also about what is planted: faith, courage, hope, and joy. So let this night be more than just hours of unconsciousness. Let it be a sacred exchange. As you sleep, allow God to take from you what harms and pour into you what restores. Allow Him to wash away bitterness and plant compassion. Allow Him to silence fear and awaken trust. Allow Him to replace despair with the certainty of His love. You are not merely ending a day. You are stepping into a divine appointment with the healer of your soul. The night becomes holy when you understand that even in darkness, God is at work, transforming, renewing, and preparing you. While you rest, heaven moves. While you close your eyes, the hands of God write new beginnings. The night is not just time passing. It is healing unfolding. The light that shines even in darkness. Darkness has a way of magnifying fears. When the lights fade and silence surrounds you, every worry seems louder, every uncertainty heavier. Yet it is in the very heart of darkness that the light of God proves its strength. His light does not flicker with circumstance, nor does it weaken when the night grows longer. It shines steadily, cutting through shadows, reminding you that hope is never lost. Think of how a single candle can illuminate an entire room. The darkness may seem vast, but it cannot overcome even the smallest flame. In the same way, the presence of God in your life may begin as a gentle spark, a quiet assurance deep within your soul, but it is powerful enough to push back despair. His word declares that the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. This truth is not poetic only, it is practical and alive. When you lay down tonight with thoughts swirling in your mind, remember this: every shadow has a limit, but God's light has no boundary. The fears that try to surround you are temporary. The doubts that whisper to you are fragile. But the promises of God are eternal, unshakable, and radiant. His light is not a distant hope reserved for others. It is present with you now, in this very room, in this very moment. Darkness often tempts us to believe we are abandoned. It tells us lies about isolation, about hopelessness, about weakness. But the light of God exposes those lies for what they are. It reminds you that you are seen, known, and loved. You are not forgotten, and you are not defenseless. His light is not just around you, it is within you, because His Spirit dwells in your heart. That means you carry a flame that cannot be extinguished by external storms. Consider this. When you wake in the middle of the night and the room feels heavy with silence, imagine the presence of God as a soft glow filling the space. Imagine that every corner is touched by His radiance and no shadow can remain. This visualization is more than comfort. It is faith in action. You are declaring with your heart that no matter how strong the darkness feels, it will never overcome the light that God has placed in you. The night, then, is not something to fear, but a canvas for His light to be revealed. Without darkness, light would never be noticed. Without shadows, the brilliance of God's presence would not shine as vividly. So every challenge, every uncertainty, every battle you face in the dark becomes an opportunity to witness His power. The greater the darkness, the more magnificent the light. As you rest tonight, hold on to this truth. You are surrounded by a God whose light never fades. The circumstances of your day may have left you weary, but His presence is a constant illumination. You are walking through the night, but you are not walking alone. The light that shines even in darkness is not outside of you. It is the very essence of God within you, and it will guide you safely into a new dawn. The surrender that sets you free. There comes a moment at the end of every day when you are faced with a choice. Will you cling tightly to the worries, mistakes, and burdens of the day? Or will you open your hands and let them go into the care of God? Surrender is not weakness. It is the deepest form of trust. To surrender is to acknowledge that you were never meant to carry the weight of life alone, and that freedom begins when you release control. Think about how exhausting it feels to try and solve every problem by yourself, to hold on to every responsibility as if everything depends on you. The human heart was not created to endure such strain without breaking. God designed you to depend on Him, not because He wants to take your strength away, but because He wants to multiply it. Surrender is the bridge between anxiety and peace, between exhaustion and renewal. Picture yourself tonight standing at the foot of the cross, your arms heavy with the baggage of the day. Each worry is like a stone, each regret like a chain. And then, in an act of courage, you place them at His feet. As you let them fall, something changes. The weight you thought was permanent begins to dissolve, and in its place you feel the release of freedom. This is not imagination, it is the reality of surrender. The beauty of surrender is that it transforms fear into faith. When you release control, you are declaring with your actions, God, I trust you more than I trust myself. And in that declaration, chains break. The grip of anxiety weakens. The pressure to be perfect fades. You step into a rest that no human effort could achieve. Many resist surrender because it feels like giving up. But surrender in God's presence is the opposite. It is stepping into victory. It is choosing to rest in the assurance that the Creator of the universe is guiding your story. It is believing that His plan is greater than your limited perspective. And when you live from this place, you begin to experience a freedom that is not dependent on circumstance, but anchored in divine truth. Think of the areas in your life you have been clinging to, relationships you try to control, outcomes you fear, situations that feel too fragile to release. Each one is a place where surrender can open the door to God's intervention. Tonight is not just about asking for peace. It is about making the courageous decision to trust Him fully. The act of surrender is what allows His peace to flow in like a river, steady and unstoppable. As you prepare to sleep, whisper this prayer in your heart. Lord, I release it all to you. The things I cannot change, the fears I cannot silence, the burdens I cannot carry, they are yours now. And as those words leave your lips, notice how your breathing slows, how your body relaxes, how your spirit feels lighter. That is the freedom of surrender, the freedom to rest, knowing that God is in control. The night is not meant to be a battlefield of endless thoughts. It is meant to be a sanctuary of peace. And that sanctuary opens wide when you let go and let God. Tonight, freedom begins not with striving, but with surrender. the prayer of deep peace. There is a kind of peace that no words can fully describe, a peace that seeps into the deepest parts of your being and silences every storm. It is not the fragile calm that comes from circumstances aligning, nor is it the temporary relief of distractions. This peace is divine, eternal, and untouchable by the chaos of life. It is the peace Jesus spoke of when he said, "My peace I give to you, not as the world gives." Tonight, that peace is being offered to you, and it is yours to receive through prayer. Close your eyes and take a slow breath. Feel the weight of the day beginning to slip away. In this moment, prayer is not a ritual or a recitation of memorized lines. It is the living connection between your heart and the heart of God. Speak to him with honesty, for he already knows the unspoken cries within you. Tell him what you fear, what you long for, what you cannot carry anymore. And as you speak, notice how his presence begins to surround you, not as distant majesty, but as intimate love. The prayer of deep peace does not rush. It lingers, allowing your heart to align with his will. It begins with surrender and grows into trust. Lord, I give you my anxieties, my restless mind, my weary soul. Cover me with your peace tonight. These words are more than sentences. They are keys unlocking the door to his presence. As you pray them, you are stepping into the sanctuary of his rest. Imagine his peace like a river flowing gently over every part of you. It washes through your mind, calming the thoughts that race endlessly. It flows into your chest, releasing the tightness of worry. It moves into your spirit, filling the empty places with hope and quiet strength. This is not imagination. This is the Spirit of God ministering to you, carrying what you cannot. When the prayer of deep peace fills you, fear loses its grip. The shadows of doubt grow faint. The tension that held your body captive begins to ease. You realize that you are safe, not because everything is perfect, but because you are held by perfect love. And in that realization, you can finally breathe freely. Stay in this place for as long as you need. Whisper to him again, "Your peace is my refuge. Your presence is my rest. I receive your covering tonight." Each repetition deepens the reality within you. Prayer is not about convincing God to act. It is about opening yourself to what he has already promised. And he has promised you peace that surpasses all understanding. As the prayer continues, imagine the very atmosphere of the room shifting. The heaviness lifts. The silence is no longer intimidating but comforting. The night no longer feels like an enemy but like a gift. God's peace does not just visit you, it dwells with you, guarding your heart and mind. Now, as you prepare to drift into sleep, let this final thought anchor you. Peace is not something you need to chase. It is someone you need to embrace. And that someone, the Prince of Peace, is here with you, right now, whispering, "Rest, for I am with you." Declarations of victory for tomorrow. The night is not only a time to release what burdens you, it is also a time to plant seeds of victory for the day to come. What you speak over your life before you rest has the power to shape your mindset, strengthen your spirit, and prepare you for what lies ahead. Scripture reminds us that the tongue carries the power of life and death. That means the words you choose tonight can open the doors to peace, courage, and breakthrough in tomorrow's battles. Declarations of victory are not empty affirmations. They are faith-filled proclamations rooted in God's promises. They are a way of aligning your heart with his truth, rejecting the lies that fear and doubt have whispered to you. When you declare victory, you are not pretending that challenges don't exist. Instead, you are declaring that God is greater than any challenge and that his plan will prevail over every obstacle. Let these declarations rise within you tonight. I will not fear tomorrow because God has already gone before me. I will wake up renewed, strengthened, and filled with courage. No weapon formed against me will prosper, for the Lord is my defender. My mind will be clear, my heart will be steady, and my steps will be guided by his wisdom. Every battle I face is an opportunity for God's glory to be revealed in my life. As you speak these words, imagine them taking root like seeds planted in fertile soil. The night becomes the ground where faith grows silently, preparing to bear fruit in the morning. While you sleep, God waters those seeds with his presence, By the time you open your eyes again, you will not simply wake up. You will rise with renewed strength, ready to face the day with boldness. Victory is not about avoiding trials. It is about walking through them with the assurance that you are not alone. The declarations you make tonight are a shield for your heart, a lamp for your path, and a reminder that the same God who gave you breath will give you strength. You are not entering tomorrow empty-handed. You are entering with promises that cannot fail. Think of how different your mornings would be if you carried this confidence. Instead of waking with dread, you would rise with expectation. Instead of carrying yesterday's heaviness, you would step into new mercies. And instead of shrinking in fear, you would stand tall in faith. That transformation begins now, in this moment, with the declarations you speak. As you prepare to close your eyes, let one final declaration settle into your heart. Tomorrow is not uncertain, because my God is already there. I will rest tonight, and I will rise in victory. These words are more than comfort. They are prophecy over your own life. And as you embrace them, you are not only preparing for rest, you are preparing for triumph. The invisible embrace of God. There are moments when words are not enough, when explanations fail to calm the heart, and when all you truly need is to feel safe. It is in those moments that the invisible embrace of God becomes real. You may not see His arms, but you can sense His presence wrapping around you, steadying your breath, calming your spirit, and reminding you that you are never abandoned. Think about how a child rests more easily when held in the arms of someone they trust. Fear dissolves, tension melts away, and sleep comes naturally. That is what God offers you tonight. His embrace is not symbolic, it is spiritual reality. The one who formed you, who knows every detail of your being, surrounds you with perfect love. And in that love, fear has no power. Perhaps your day has left you feeling exposed, vulnerable, or forgotten. The invisible embrace of God answers each of those wounds. Where you feel exposed, He covers you. Where you feel vulnerable, He protects you. Where you feel forgotten, He reminds you that your name is engraved in the palm of His hand. His love does not come and go with circumstances. It is constant, unchanging, and everlasting. Imagine it now. As you lie down, picture His presence filling the room, not as a distant force, but as a nearness so close you can almost feel His heartbeat. The weight of the bed beneath you becomes lighter, the atmosphere shifts, and you realize you are not resting alone. The same God who stretched out the heavens stretches His arms around you. The same God who calmed storms speaks peace over your night. The same God who raised the sun this morning is watching over you as darkness falls. This embrace is not just for comfort, it is for strength. In it, you are reminded that no matter how fragile you feel, you are held by an unshakable power. In it, you are reminded that the battles of tomorrow are already seen and prepared for by the one who holds eternity. In it, you are reminded that your worth is not defined by failures, but by the unchanging love of your Father. And so, as you prepare for rest, allow yourself to lean fully into that embrace. Stop resisting. Stop carrying what is too heavy. Stop believing the lie that you must endure alone. Let His arms carry what you cannot. Let His presence breathe life back into the corners of your soul. Tonight, your rest is not just about closing your eyes. It is about being wrapped in the invisible embrace of God, an embrace that speaks louder than fear, steadier than doubt, and stronger than the weight of the world. And in that embrace, you will finally know what it means to rest in safety, to rest in love, to rest in the assurance that you are held. The miracle that begins in rest. Rest is often misunderstood as inactivity, as if it were simply the absence of work or responsibility. But in the eyes of God, rest is sacred. It is the place where miracles quietly begin to unfold. When you stop striving, when you release control, when you lay your burdens down, you create space for God to move in ways you cannot see. Rest is not wasted time. It is fertile ground where the seeds of breakthrough are nurtured by His presence. Think of how the earth itself operates. Farmers plant seeds, but it is in the unseen depths of the soil where growth takes place. They cannot force it, they cannot rush it, but they trust the process. In the same way, when you enter into true rest, you are planting your trust in God. You are saying, Lord, while I sleep, you are still working. While I rest, you are still fighting for me. While I close my eyes, you are opening doors I cannot. The miracle of rest is that it realigns your soul. It teaches you that your worth is not tied to your performance, and your future is not tied to your frantic attempts to control it. It teaches you that peace is found not in doing more, but in trusting more. As you rest tonight, God is healing wounds you don't even recognize, solving problems you don't yet know exist, and preparing opportunities you never imagined. Perhaps you have been praying for a breakthrough, waiting for a sign, longing for change. And perhaps God's answer for you tonight is simple: rest and watch what I will do. The miracle begins not with striving, but with stillness. It begins when you allow Him to take the lead and trust that His power is perfected in your weakness. When you wake tomorrow, you may not immediately see the full miracle. But just as dawn gradually overtakes the night, so too will the evidence of His work unfold in your life. The strength you feel, the clarity of mind, the courage in your steps, all are signs that God was moving while you rested. The miracle is already in motion, and your rest was the key that unlocked it. So tonight, let go of the fear that tells you nothing will change. Release the doubt that whispers your prayers have gone unheard. In rest, believe. In rest, trust. In rest, prepare your heart for the miracles that are already being written into your story. You are not drifting into sleep. You are stepping into the sacred space where heaven and earth meet, where your surrender becomes God's canvas for miracles. As this night unfolds, one truth rises above every fear, every burden, every shadow. When you rest in God, you are not simply sleeping. You are stepping into His miracle. The stillness of this moment is not emptiness, it is fullness, a sacred silence filled with His promises. Every breath you take tonight is a reminder that you are alive for a purpose, and that purpose is carried in the hands of the one who never fails. You have laid down the marks of the day, released the invisible weight, welcomed His light, surrendered your heart, prayed for peace, spoken declarations of victory, embraced His love, and chosen to trust His healing. Now all of it converges into this powerful reality. Your rest is holy ground. While your eyes close, heaven is open. While your body lies still, God's Spirit moves with power. Think about this. No battle is too great for Him, no wound too deep, no night too long. The miracle is already unfolding because your heart has chosen to believe. Tomorrow will not meet you with defeat, but with the strength of a God who renews mercies every morning. You will rise not with the heaviness of yesterday, but with the fresh anointing of a new day. So tonight, rest boldly, rest with faith, rest with assurance. Because the God who watches over you does not slumber, He does not abandon, He does not delay. His timing is perfect, and His embrace is eternal. This night is not the end of your story, it is the beginning of a chapter written with grace, filled with hope, and marked by victory. Now let your heart settle into peace, knowing this: the miracle has already begun, and it begins in your rest with God.